Hey everybody, happy Saturday. This is where I recap all the big news that's so important that happened during the week that you may have missed. So let's get into it, and thank you all for coming. I see Sean D and TND Tesla and everybody out there, Chaotic Coder, Batman, Dexter, all the usual suspects. And I know it's late in Europe, so I'll make this fast. We've got a lot to get through. Let's pop up the deck. This is called What Happened This Week. We're going to round up a lot of stuff. Big news with the ETFs. BlackRock eating a ton. And shrimps are back. Hey, B-Man. VanEck also has a forecast for $3 million Bitcoin. And I tried to back into how they got at that. Also, some other good forecasts, too. And other good news and some bad news as well. Some disappointment. And I was wrong about something I said yesterday in the video. And we'll cover that, too. Chaotic Coder, thank you so much. And, of course, not financial advice. And thank you to everyone on Patreon. First of all, crypto over the last 7 days. Bitcoin up 2%. Not bad, not great. It was up a little bit higher. It was up at nearly 98,000 for a little while, a couple of days ago. And everything has kind of been a little bit lackluster. But we've definitely come a long way in a short window of time. Remember, we were mid-70s a few days ago. Not too bad. Also, the ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs finished another huge week. Shout out to Hodl 15 Capital. This little table together saves me from doing the work. And remember, 450 Bitcoin are mined every single day. Look, that's about what, $42 million to buy all that? Look how much these puppies are buying. All right, let me see. May 2nd, 675 million. May 1st, 422 million. That's 10x daily issuance. Little tiny red day on April 30th. 172 million, 600 million, 400 million, 442 million, 960 million, 936, nearly $1 billion. Anyway, the point is lots of money. Lots of money being gobbled up by these ETFs. They are back with a vengeance, which is good. And shout out to Thomas. Bitcoin, the number of Bitcoin bought by BlackRock this week is 26,000. Remember, 450 are issued a day. This one puppy is eating multiples of what's being issued. And again, they are also back, and they are also the biggest buyer. And that's on top of MicroStrategy and other players. Crazy, crazy time to be alive. And shout out to the shrimp out there, those with less than one Bitcoin. They've been selling for the last 14, 15 months. And all of a sudden, guess what? They started snacking again so far this year. Shrimp have bought over 2,000 Bitcoin. So shout out to the shrimp there. The 1 to 10 Bitcoin holders have still been selling. They dumped 600 Bitcoin. They're probably YOLOing into meme coins or something. Who knows? And then the rest of all the cohorts are stacking. But it's really good for me to see the shrimp coming back and not let the big players eat it all. So let's move on. Brown University, an Ivy League school, have disclosed they just bought $5 million worth of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. And some of the endowment funds within these universities, especially the Ivy Leagues, are incredibly high. We're talking, in some cases, nearly $500 billion. So, and I know that Stanford in California, not an Ivy League, but they have allocated to Bitcoin. And I know it's only a matter of time before the others will. GQ Creator, thank you so much. And also, let's talk about this for a second, because I thought this was some of the big news this week, too. And, of course, you know who. These are our friends from the channel, too, as well. But the VanEck CEO said that Bitcoin could hit $3 million per coin and become 5% of global trade soon. I always say risk happens fast, but 3 million? I mean, hey, Mike, thank you for coming. I mean, we're under 100 grand right now. 3 million is, that's a 30x plus. But he said countries are using Bitcoin as an intermediary currency. We know they're doing that to skirt sanctions and so much other good stuff, or bad stuff, depending on which side of the trade table you're on. But the point is, it's coming into its own. So I tried to back into how this would work and how Bitcoin could get to 3 million if it became 5% of global trade. And it's a simple little formula. Basically, global trade is $32 trillion around the world today. And that includes trade for everything like oil, yada, yada. And now S is, of course, the, S is the share, I nearly forgot, the share of global trade, which is 5%. B is the circulating supply of Bitcoin. I said approximately 19.8 million. Of course, 5 million are lost, so it'll never be more than 15 million. You've heard me say a million times. And then the velocity of money, which is the Bitcoin money, which I put in a low target. To back into the 3 million would have to be very low. And the way I can back into the very low velocity of money at 0.0269 is because much of the Bitcoin is lost or hoarded. So the actual amount of Bitcoin that's out there available for trade is very small, considering the size of 32 trillion of trade times 5%. And that, if you just take that use case alone, that gets you to $3 million per Bitcoin. Remember, the amount of trade around the planet is massive. 5% share of that. And it just shows as well, just to remind everybody, Bitcoin is a tiny asset. In the realm of things, there's nearly 1,000 trillion of value on the planet. Bitcoin's just a little bit above 1 trillion of that, 1,000th of it. No, 1,000, not 1 trillionth of it, 1,000 of it. So just put that in perspective. We have a long way to go. We're still very early, and wise people realize that. So shout out to VanEck and friends of the channel. Also, it's parabolic slope time, perhaps. Peter Brandt, he's a legend, a legend in the space, and he also knows Bitcoin. And he said if Bitcoin can regain the broken parabolic slope, then Bitcoin is on target to reach the bull market cycle top in the 125K to 150K region by August, September 2025. Then a 50% correction. There's a couple of things I like about this. 120K has been my target since 2023. So that's kind of on the money. Second, a 50% correction is a lower drawdown from previous cycles, which is also correct. This guy is very wise, and he could be on the money. Renato, thank you. So who would be happy here in the audience? Wish I could do a poll with 125K Bitcoin. Anyway, and Forrest is out there too. We shall see where all this goes, but risk happens fast. A lot of people still think sell in May, go away. Oh, by the way, it's May. Happy May, everybody. It's May 3rd. Here, if you're in Australia or New Zealand or any one of these places, it's already May 4th. May the 4th be with you, I think they used to say. I still have to figure that one out. But anyway, go Peter Brandt. Hope you're staying healthy and well, my friend. Now, this is where I screwed up yesterday. I mistakenly, and I should know better. My bad. Yesterday, I said this was in the bag that Arizona would allocate because it got through all the legislative houses, etc., and the Bitcoin bill was put on the governor's desk. And I had assumed politicians were intelligent, and it was a stupid oversight on my part. Okay? And I should have realized as well, because this is a Democratic governor, and they will do the complete opposite of what the other side of the house will do. And we know that the current administration is pro-Bitcoin. So if you are on the other side, you have to be against it. All is partisan. And that was my bad yesterday, assuming she would sign. They didn't. Now, the good news is they believe they'll put it up again in a little while. And the other good news is I still believe Texas will make it happen because their governor is a little bit different. All roads lead to Bitcoin, and with or without Arizona, it doesn't matter. Diddly squat. Just look at the amount that BlackRock's buying. Anyway, don't be like the WSJ, James. What is the Wall Street Journal? I cancel my subscription. They're full of crap. Anyway, anyhow, I can't be right all the time. So sorry about Arizona yesterday. Anyway, Apple lifts its iOS crypto restrictions, which is great news, and they ended the 30% Apple tax. Remember, Apple Pay is used all around the world to make transactions. And now all of a sudden, there will be tons of developers hooking Apple Pay into crypto pay, which is yet another on-ramp to adoption. And that's what we care about. The more crypto is adopted, the better we'll go. God bless Texas. Yes, let's make that happen, Texas. We're looking at you. And other good news for the Ethereum fans out there. And this is kind of profound because Vitalik has had at least a couple of 5-year plans he put out there over the last 12 months. And he said something that is very true. And then one of the best things about Bitcoin is how simple it is. And I always say that sometimes Simplicity is a feature, it's not a bug. But he's crafting another new plan. He hopes to have a simplified Ethereum architecture ready sometime in 2030. Now, that's all well and good to have a plan and to understand that there is a problem and to fix it. But waiting 5 years to do it is not going to work. This should have been put into place years ago because the murderer's row of layer ones out there is already crushing the world. And at 15 TPS, ETH is not going to cut it, and they're also being cannibalized by their layer twos like Base. So we'll see, but it's nice that they have a plan, but there is not. We don't have 5 years to wait. Anyhow, good luck. Now, speaking of the murderer's row of chains, this is DEX volume. Solana DEX volume is now double the next best, which is Ethereum. You're doing nearly double the actual volume of DEX stuff. And then you've got a whole bunch of other stuff down the chain as well. But this is interesting. Ethereum is number 2, Binance number 3, Base number 4, Arbitrum number 5, Sui number 6. And Solana leads in fee generations as well. Again, this varies. Sometimes Tron is on top. Tron basically runs all of the Tether transactions. But what takes me aback with this, when you look at the amount of daily fees, these are 24-hour fee generation by chain. You see what's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But what happens to all the other ones down the line? Some of the names you can read there for yourselves. They're simply not making any money compared to the big ones above. And what happens to all these chains? And the answer is they'll continue to exist because some people will continue to have hope. But my experience in the world is the winner takes most, and that maybe is what's playing out here. Anyway, moving on. Goldman is planning to tokenize money markets and treasuries. You probably think, why aren't they tokenizing stocks, etc., equities? Well, you got to start somewhere. InvestAnswers, thank you for coming. Goldman is a massive TradFi Wall Street shop. They run a lot of money, trillions of it. Now, U.S. Treasury market, just for perspective, last I checked, is about $28 trillion. U.S. money market funds is about just, I think, $7 trillion. So what's 28 plus 7 for the kids at home? Drop a comment below. It's a lot. It's actually just under the national debt. So add 28 plus 7. That's how much Goldman Sachs want to tokenize. And not just that, use crypto to do it, and then make it available 24/7 for on-chain trading. So you could trade your bonds and your money market funds into other things, hopefully. But it's a great first step, and it's a massive market. And as we've been saying for years, the world will be tokenized. Everything will be tokenized. Everything will move onto the blockchain. So get ready. The question is, with the tokenization of everything and RWA, real-world assets, who's winning? So let's check out Token Terminal's AUM for Apollo Global, which is diversified credit, securitized fund. And right now, you can see here, just like DEX volume, etc., Solana's in the lead, running about 25.4 million of the AUM. Ethereum number 2, 21.3 million. Aptos number 3, 20.2 million. And then Matic, I think that's Matic, the new Matic, AVAX is there. And Ink on Chain I never heard of, but it's only $102. So again, winner takes most. We'll see. This RWA world, this tokenization of the world, starting with treasuries, money markets, is going to explode. So get ready for that. And it's going to happen real fast. Now, Phantom, last week I reported that Jupiter was doing gasless swaps. So you don't need to pay any fees to swap any tokens or any stable coins. And available for mobile trades over $75. That's the only limit. As long as the movement, you're moving over $75 worth, it's free, ladies and gentlemen. So the only chain that can make things happen for free is, of course, Solana, because they can do things at scale. And remember, scale, TPS is required to do things for free. This will go bonkers. Between this and the tokenization of the world and free ability to move money and swap stuff, it's going to be insane. Absolutely insane. And remember, Fire Dancer is still coming too. But there is a little bit of related news, a little bit of bad news too. There is some new European. I know a lot of people who watch this show are in Europe. And this is from Cointelegraph. Shout out to Sanjay as well, who got it to me. This EU is set to ban anonymous cryptocurrencies by 2027 under new AML rules. What does anonymous cryptocurrencies mean? Well, it's coins like Monero, which I touched on last week as well. It will be illegal to use privacy coins, privacy tokens in Europe. It says starting in 2027, which basically means end of 2026. Because the government in Europe wants to track everything that you do. And they want everybody that manages things like exchanges, things like wallets, to report on what people are doing. They want to keep a very close eye on what people are doing. And they will need to have your identity, your identification, and track all your transactions, Big Brother, etc. You've heard over the years watching the show some of the crazy things that are happening around the world. But anyway, this is not good for the European crypto scene. It's not good for crypto startups. It's not good for crypto adoption. It's also not good for a whole bunch of other stuff. And it could have a massive impact on how crypto is adopted in Europe. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is not good. They're AML rules. And then the other question that popped up when we shared this was, how does this impact wallets? And the answer is yes. Okay, a wallet, like Phantom Wallet, like we just discussed, is non-KYC. You can get one without identifying yourself or providing ID. Therefore, Phantom Wallets could also, like any other wallet, like MetaMask, etc., could all be banned in Europe unless they become KYC wallets. So this has a profound effect on crypto in Europe, unfortunately, but maybe they'll get new leadership and they'll change those rules. We shall see. I doubt that, though. Anyway, moving on. Let's look at stocks real quick. There are some profound things happening in the stock market world. We had that big dip about, 4 weeks ago? The big buying opportunity and monstrous rebounds. In fact, last week, Microsoft alone went up 11%. Part of why Microsoft went up is Amazon. It's flat here, but they had earnings, but they did say the AWS business is shrinking, which means the Microsoft Azure business is growing, which ties into some other news too, that Microsoft Azure is going to embed Grok XAI into their Azure, or is it AWS? No, Azure, the Microsoft product. And that took me a little bit by surprise because they bought ChatGPT. But again, we'll see. As I say, I believe there will only be one winner in the AI world too, like everything else. And a little bit of Tesla news too out of the Czech Republic. Let me know in a comment below if you are from Czechia. But they just dropped a new law allowing FSD to happen on the ground in their country. And this is big because it has other implications as well. If you can prove the car is driving itself, you're not responsible. So that's really cool. Just think of implications. I remember going to Prague a lot when I was very young, and I fondly remember a beer called Staropramen, which the locals like to drink too. Anyhow, I won't tie those two together, and drinking and driving, of course, is very bad. But it's a use case for FSD in the future. So now in Europe, we have not just Czech Republic, Norway, and testing in the Netherlands. It's coming. It's going to be great. So for all of you out there, like T&D Tesla, waiting for FSD, it's coming soon. Maybe 2026. Anyway, India too. This is a job posting. Shout out to Nick Cruz too. Job posting in India for vehicle operators. This basically means FSD is coming to India. So I've driven in all over the world, and some of the craziest places are places like Manila in the Philippines, Beijing in China, Shanghai in China, absolutely crazy during rush hours. And India is probably the craziest because you've got all sorts of obstacles like bicycles and mopeds and cows, and which are sacred, and all that craziness. But people say that, I say China is the penultimate boss, probably the second most difficult place to drive. But India is definitely the most difficult place to drive. If you don't agree with me, let me know if there's a more difficult place. But if FSD is able to launch in India, whether Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, or anywhere else, that's it. Game over. They can drive anywhere. And we've seen the success of FSD in China already. This is it. This is the final boss, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. And why do we care? Because if the car can drive itself, it becomes a robotaxi. And the robotaxi, this is from Brad Ferguson, is simple little post. 1 million robotaxis. Elon says he can build 2 million a year. Just assuming 1 million, okay, they can pump one out of the line every 5 seconds. One line, one factory every 5 seconds. But just sandbag this, 1 million robotaxis doing 50,000 billable miles a year at $2 a mile. That's 100 billion in revenue per year. Why is that number important? Well, that's more revenue than they make right now. And that will just come from 1 million cars. And that doesn't include turning on the rest of the fleet, the other 8 million cars around the world. And this will replace Uber with a faster, safer service at a lower price point for the customer. Lower wait times, safer, no driver, more entertainment, lower price, etc. Now, if the price goes to even lower, the TAM just explodes. That means everybody can use it to go to work, etc., which is completely bonkers. These things are coming in June, and I don't believe the world is ready. But watch how they scale, if at all. That'll be absolutely fascinating to watch as well. And shout out to Kobasi, too. This is Warren Buffett and the Berkshire Hathaway cash balance. Look how it has grown over time. Now they have over $1/3 trillion in cash. And the question is, everybody's been asking, what is Warren Buffett waiting for? Today, we know the answer. Sadly, Warren Buffett is retiring. He's handing over the keys to Greg Abel, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. And I remember saying in a video over a year ago, with all that cash, which a year ago was nearly $300 billion, I said, wow, if you could just get Warren Buffett to buy the bottom of MicroStrategy or Bitcoin or Tesla or a cocktail of those three, he would be minted as a genius for life. And that was early 2024. Obviously, Warren did not listen to me, and now he's leaving. But I wonder what the new team will do with all that cash. But I guess, he's so close to being out the door, he doesn't want to take on any risk or not be there to see the fruits of his labor. So either way, good luck, Warren. You're a legend. Stay well, stay healthy. And Greg Abel, hope you do some exciting new things. The money's in disruption. And this is another cool thing. Shared a couple of weeks ago how the USA beats China because a lot of talk of tariffs and things not being equitable. And again, shout out to Sanjay too. But if you look at the little blue box, little crude blue box here, if you add the blue box together, yes, it can exceed the orange box, which is the dominant force. And this is how, if you take the blue box and they team up, they can beat the orange box. That was the crude analogy a few weeks back. Well, guess what? This just came out. India has decided to side with the United States in the trade war. India has declared they will serve as a major replacement for Chinese manufacturing for the US and the world. So there you have it. Boom. The blue box is going to join hands and they're going to fight the orange box. And that's how global macroeconomic lesson right there. That's how things work. And final piece of news, the U.S. job growth is slowing a little bit. A lot of people say the job market's fine, everything else is like, not really the stuff I'm seeing. But it's going to slow to about 138,000 jobs, which typically is revised down after the fact as per the BLS. I don't know if the BLS is going to change the way they operate under the new administration, but I do believe things are worse than they seem because I see the ability to get services you could never get before because people have capacity, whether it's construction and I talk about the furniture store example, and I talk about other types of things. Things are quiet out there. Things are not as hectic as they used to be. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong. I do believe there's going to be a little bit of that short-term pain, which will continue maybe for another 2 or 3 months. All the deals will be done and the global economy will be back to normal. And then things will be kicking off for the latter half of 2025. That is my analysis. But in the meantime, when you are an investor, don't wait for things to shoot, for the government numbers to tell you everything is fine. You've got to react before. You've got to front run the news always. And get in early, get in hard. That's the secret, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. And meme du jour, I thought this was hilarious. Look, someone stole my identity. And it's always good to be able to laugh at yourself. Maybe, I'll read the last part. Maybe they'll make something of my life, something out of my life. I thought that was very funny, just cute. Of course, all in jest. It's important to be able to laugh at yourself and at life. And that is the meaning of life, I believe. And that was a good movie. Thank you, Sean, TND Tesla, everybody else. And cheers to the shrimp. Yes, the shrimp are back. They're stacking. Never better late than never. Thank you all. Hit the like and subscribe. I'll see you all tomorrow for the weekly Q&A, answering the toughest top questions of the week. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.